The last time Bitcoin saw this signal, it produced an over 20% rally in the coming couple months, and it is firing off yet again. In fact, you might even say that it's already confirmed, and this one probably going to be even more powerful, at least from the positioning of the weekly RSI as it stands. But before we get to that, I want to once again let you know that you can still join for free with an exchange account. The Crypto School, which starts in just 1 week and 1 day, is going to be the first live stream for that one, and there is a link in the description below. I'll also play a small video at the very end of this stream, so you can kind of get an idea of what to expect and what it's all about. Anyways, so let's just jump right into this one, starting off with the big signal of the day. The weekly time frame for CME on Bitcoin is producing a drive of phantom hidden bullish divergence right here, anchoring between the last major actual trend low for Bitcoin all the way back in January/February to the current low that we're seeing right here. This one is to be compared with the prior one that we just saw, which was, well, I wouldn't say just saw it, but happened in April, before Bitcoin went from basically $58,000 all the way to $72,000. And this one, as I did say at the beginning of this video, is probably going to be a more strong one. Why do I say that's more strong? There is more divergence between this anchored low and this potential anchored low. I mean, it's a fucking low. This low right here as well. So ultimately, we would expect the weekly RSI to get back into the bullish control zone, thus giving it, more potential upside momentum in the coming weeks, probably coming months. The last one, which was very much short-lived in comparison to what you should expect for this current one, did take close to 2 months to actually play out. So this one's still governing us likely into the end of the summer, but you can see that the wheels turning in the background, and just more things suggesting up as this title would suggest as well. Anyways, enough suggest for 1 second, and let's go down to the daily time frame. I do want to call out, however, that while the long-term rally likely does sustain and likely does continue, it should be known that on the daily right here, Bitcoin does have a pretty major gap coming in from last Friday closure. Now, of course, not all gaps have to be filled 100%, but I would be cognizant that any sort of downside move around this region where you see these wicks is very likely to be a major opportunity if Bitcoin does get there. So, while that likely does provide a little bit of a gravitational pull, I wouldn't expect things actually to get all the way down there. Or if they did get all the way down there, I mean, that'd be, kind of a gift. But in this case, anywhere low $60,000, if Bitcoin comes back and retests, is very likely a major opportunity. And in the short term, can Bitcoin play out a move like that? Sure. But we are seeing in the background many things starting to switch around into bullish posturings. I'm actually bringing back the jewel right here, and you can actually see that the jewel is switching around into a bullish posturing on CME. In fact, on spot price action, it's already done such, and likely the next sort of downside move is going to pull it back into what likely is going to be one of the more perfect signals that you can actually get on this. It'll probably fire off alongside of a meta signal setup as well. But yeah, you can see how in the more, I guess, medium term over the next couple of weeks, if Bitcoin does pull back, come down a little bit, then we would expect that to actually align for, pretty much a perfect signal. And that's probably going to be the one that brings Bitcoin back above $70,000. But before then, should be known, or should be aware that today, Wednesday, actually it's actually a very interesting day as far as weekday stats go. Wednesday, again, a little bit favor of a negative closure here, but not by much, 53.5% versus 46.5%. But what's very interesting to me is the returns. The positive gaining Wednesdays that we've seen since this year began have had the highest positive return out of any weekday. So over 3.5%, again, on average. And for the negative ones, did lose an average of about 2%. So we can use that to very likely come up with a nice range of prices for today. To the upside, a nice upper boundary, probably somewhere, if Bitcoin were to put in a nice move, somewhere around 67,500, give or take about $100 from that number. And to the downside, shaving 2% off of current price action would put Bitcoin back down around about $63,500. So you kind of look at that as like a range of likely price for today. I don't think that we're going to see anything like major, certainly not so much to the upside, because I mean, at this point, like this rally probably could use a little bit of a short-term pullback and put in some higher lows there. But again, these are likely to be opportunities. And to the downside, mid 63s. If it does come down around there, not a bad do, at least in my opinion, as of right now, just based off of this. So moving on from there, and also what we should be aware of is that Wednesday is actually the highest. It's Is it? Hold on. I'm not reading this right. My fucking eyes are deceiving me right now. They're deceiving me. It is not the highest volatility day anymore. It is the second highest volatility day, slightly overshadowed by Monday. But, for today, Bitcoin did want to pull back. I mean, it kind of would make sense for today. In fact, kind of saying the same thing yesterday as well. And, that has been the highest Tuesday has been the highest probability for a downside closure, but we didn't see that. In fact, we saw a little bit of an upside closure. So not bad. Anyways, let's move on now. I want to make sure that I'm following my notes properly here. Okay, yes, be mindful of the gap. We got the jewel switching around. We got the price statistics. Okay, let's get into the HPDR over here. Actually, should we go over the HPDR first or second? No, we'll do it second. First, I want to show that the 5-day time frame stochastic oscillator is switching around to upside posturings for now all higher term time frames. So not only do we see the daily up, and also very much a vertical there, I should say. The 2-day time frame also up. The 3-day will also obviously be up, and then the 5-day is going to cross the upside on the next closure, assuming that Bitcoin just remains anywhere above 62,250, which it's looking good. It's looking good. Then we will see this one cross up as well, and then the weekly time frame will follow too. So the pivot for the weekly is actually 65,400. So that'll be the big one to watch by Friday. But you can see that all things are starting to switch around into that nice upside posturing, which is what we did not have on that prior bounce when Bitcoin went from 58,000 to 72,000 bucks. So this is significant. This very likely is, the major low to be working off of. And the real question is, does Bitcoin have a short or medium term time frame pullback before it does likely retest 70,000 bucks, in the next month? Maybe even sooner than that. Definitely possible. I mean, that would bring us into mid-August now. Yeah, actually we're past the midpoint, so fair enough. Anyways, moving on from there, it should also be known that the 5-day time frame for CME just closed last night, and in this case, we do see a very obvious target based off of just basically based off of this setup right here, where the median is gonna be a fucking magnet for price action. It's basically 70,000 bucks, like a hair below 70,000 bucks, but very likely we're gonna see that tested in the next few periods here, maybe even sooner rather than later. Again, lower boundary at that 38.2 level is gonna be 61.5. So I don't know if I could really. It's not that I need to see something, but it's going to be hard to get Bitcoin lower below there if there is any sort of pullback. So I wouldn't get too greedy, just personally speaking. Of course, it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, just kind of telling you what I'd be doing in these sort of hypothetical situations. Crazy shit, right? But yeah, I actually don't think it's going to pull back super significantly from here, maybe back down to 63.5 or so. But ultimately, that $70,000 target will be a target probably between now and a month from now. And at that point, really sets up Bitcoin for a potential major break out of this range that it's been putting in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months now. And by the way, Bitcoin's gonna have a chance to actually not just have a very successful test of the median on the monthly, but also simultaneously, it's going to have an even chance to close above the 38.2 level by the end of this month, thus really confirming the next sort of major leg of this macro move. And that price point would be 66,600 basically, or let's just call it 67,000 bucks. I think it's better to kind of round up on these bigger and higher time frame numbers. So, if that starts to happen, I think it's very likely that we start to see the macro rally continue. Basically last quarter of this year. I mean, it's the same fucking playbook as what we've seen many times in the past. Crazy. And the way that things are kind of shaping up right here, it does, I will say at the end of this video, it does kind of make me lean more on the previous idea that I was having on this channel, that if Bitcoin really continues from this current consolidation to new highs without a pullback and a sustained pullback, below 60,000 bucks on a closing base, which we don't have. There are no closures on a monthly below 60. I actually am not so certain that this cycle goes past the end of this year. Of course, you can make arguments on the other side, like fundamentally speaking, if Trump becomes president, then he's going to be the crypto president. Maybe that helps out. I don't know. But maybe that's also already getting priced in right now. And then that, becomes irrelevant at that point. It becomes a selling event, perhaps. I don't know. That's why, trading news and shit like that is very, very difficult. And at the end of the day, I am starting to see a lot of signals in the background here, especially the monthly oscillators. They very likely have one more move, but staying in the critical zone for this long is typically signaled that the end of the cycle is, within about a year. So, yeah, I think that is probably where I'm going to leave off for today. I want to leave you with one last thing. Little excerpt from the crypto school, and here you go.
Are actually not trading psychology issues. They're trading strategy issues.
Sounds like a
strategy,
fucking potato
by
can.
the definition of it, as you've seen in this program, is something that has objective indications, which you can then back test, meaning that you've seen this thing play out again and again and again.
And that's what fucking trading, and that's really what trading is. And that's what this course is all focused on. So again, if you're interested in it and kind of just being given basically a trading template, if you will, that you can kind of iterate off of, then this would potentially be an interest for you. Again, you can find it in the link in the description below. And apologies for the absolutely terrible sound during those streams. I don't know why it's like that. Zoom sucks, I guess. Anyways, that is going to do it for today. I'm going to be signing off on that note. As always, want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.